Hello and welcome to This Week in 23 Sports. My name is Lucas Parrish, and I'm joined here by Jack McGrath. We've got an excellent show this week filled with every Mizzou team that we could possibly fit. Jack, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It was a busy week for Missouri sports. I'm really excited to talk about it. And in addition to that, the NFL Combine is this week, and some Missouri superstars are showing out, trying to get drafted.
Yeah. We've got several guys there right now. Four of the most notable names there. We're going to start off with Kelly Bryant, the quarterback for Mizzou after transferring from Clemson. Kelly Bryant actually just ran his 40-yard dash, put up a time of 4.69 seconds, which is a good time for a quarterback. And this is kind of crazy, Jack, but do you know what Drew Lock ran last year at his combine?
Was it also a 4.69?
It was also a 4.69. I guess Missouri quarterbacks just like that number. Moving on to Cale Garrett. Garrett, unfortunately, suffered a pectoral injury about halfway through the season. Prior to that, he was having one of the best years of his career. He was going absolutely off. He's getting some love. He's getting some love at this combine. I could see him going late on day 3.
Yeah, he should definitely be drafted. He was the leader of the Missouri defense, which was phenomenal for the first half of the year. And once he got hurt, they weren't playing as well after that. He's a great player and a good leader.
Yeah, for sure. He doesn't have that sideline-to-sideline speed that you like to see, but his instincts are insane. He will definitely go somewhere, and I think he'll have an impact in the league. Next up is Jordan Elliott, a defensive lineman for Mizzou who didn't get all that much love while playing for the Tigers, but in this pre-draft process, he's really risen in the ranks. Jordan Elliott is now considered about a third-round pick, and he definitely has a chance to either solidify his status there, maybe even move up a little bit, hopefully not move down. But at this combine, he could really do himself some favors.
Yeah, he's an athletic guy, and at the combine, he can really show his stuff. I expect him to keep moving up. We'll see how he's able to do.
Finally, Missouri tight end Albert Okuwebenon was seen as one of the top tight ends in this draft class. Prior to the season, he kind of fell a little bit. During the season, there were some issues there. He didn't quite put up the statistics that you like to see. He was also a little bit lazy on some of the plays, had some bad drops. Albert O, at 258 pounds, I believe that is what he measured in at the combine, ran a 4.49 40-yard dash, fastest out of any tight end by almost 0.2 seconds, which is crazy. This guy's 258 pounds, runs a 4.49. He's doing himself a lot of favors right now. Could vault himself right back into that day 2 conversation.
Most definitely. He's got the speed, he's got the size, he has all the intangibles to be a successful tight end in the NFL. So let's bring it back to campus. Missouri sports on campus right now. Missouri men's basketball lost to Arkansas 78-68 on Saturday in Fayetteville, but picked up a win Wednesday night in Vanderbilt. That pushes Missouri back up to 500. They're sitting at 14-14 right now and a 6-9 record in the SEC in the conference. That puts them at 10th place in the conference, tied with Arkansas.
10th place is important because the 10th seed in the SEC tournament earns a first-round bye. Arkansas currently holds the tiebreaker of overall record. Both teams have 3 games remaining in the regular season.
Arkansas sits firmly on the bubble and could find themselves with an at-large bid come March in the big dance. But Missouri probably needs to win the SEC tournament to make it to the tournament. That makes the SEC tournament and that 10th seed even more important for this Missouri basketball team. Lucas, what do you think Missouri needs to do to make that magical run in the SEC tournament and earn themselves a bid in March Madness?
For me, it's simple. The team that beat Auburn needs to show up to this tournament. Mizzou basketball has shown a lot of potential. They've shown a lot of flashes. They beat, Auburn at the time was ranked pretty high in the country, and they won. But then there's that Missouri team that lost to Charleston Southern. If that Mizzou team that can beat Auburn, that can beat Florida, that can compete with Xavier at the beginning of the season shows up, they could win it. I'm saying they could win it. That team has to show up. If that team shows up, they could win it.
And good guard play is going to be the key. Xavier Pinson has turned it on recently and has really been the X factor in Missouri's wins. Drew Smith, the leader of the team. He needs to keep showing up, keep playing well. He needs to shoot well, too, because Missouri has struggled all year from deep. If they can get strong shooting from their guards, suddenly they're a very dangerous team in the SEC tournament.
I agree. Also, the potential return of Jeremiah Tillman and Mark Smith, those two could have a huge impact on this team in the SEC tournament. Now moving on to women's basketball. After a rough season, the team did not disappoint on senior night up against Ole Miss, who has yet to pick up an SEC win. The Tigers played stingy defense and worked well in the paint.
Missouri got off to a quick start and never looked back, taking a 9-0 lead to open up the game. Ole Miss struggled from deep the entire game. They started off 0 from 14 from deep. They missed their first 14 three-point attempts. And even though it was senior night, the underclassmen led the way for Missouri. Freshman Asia Blackwell had 20 points and 10 rebounds, a double-double, and Haley Frank had 22 points for the Tigers.
The final score of that contest was 82-67, and Missouri improved to 8-19, on the year, and 5-10 in the SEC with the win. Next, they traveled to Auburn to play this Thursday, the 27th. Now we move outside of Mizzou Arena, where the softball team has been a bright spot for Missouri athletics. Ranked 16th in the nation, Mizzou took on Seattle University on Sunday.
In the first inning, Bailey Thompson hit a 3-run shot for Seattle. Missouri was unable to mount a comeback. Shea Smith earned the save for Seattle, pitching 3 scoreless innings and striking out 5. Missouri fell to 12-5, but plays 4 games this weekend, including 2 against Wichita State and 2 against Nebraska. Speaking of going outside to the diamond, baseball is finally back, and the Missouri baseball team has had a busy start. Last weekend, they took on Kansas State, Utah, and played 2 games against Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. They went 2-2 over the course of those 4 games.
They also had a game against McNeese State just last night, which was Wednesday night. Mizzou started off well after getting out to a 1-0 lead in the top of the third, but things did not go well for them after that. McNeese State, in the bottom of the third, would go on to put up 9 runs. McNeese State would go on to win it by a final score of 12-4. After that loss, the Tigers fall to a record of 4-4, exactly 500.
Next up, Missouri will travel down to Houston to play 3 games in Minute Maid Park, the home of the Houston Astros. They're taking part in the Shriners Hospital for Children College Classic. The Classic pits SEC teams up against teams from the Big 12. So Missouri has a 3-game slate in that. They will take on Baylor on Friday before they take on the 22nd ranked Oklahoma Sooners on Saturday. The trip will conclude on Sunday when they take on the University of Texas.
Now we're going to move on to track and field. Both the women's and men's teams competed in the Missouri Collegiate Challenge this past Saturday. Both teams dominated as a couple runners set meet records.
Junior Nilo Clark set the meet record in the 200-meter dash as he ran a 21.73 second time. Junior Melissa Mangini also set a meet record in the 800-meter race. Personal bests were also set by junior Shannon Browning, freshman Zachary Charles, and freshman Chris McKenzie.
On the field side of things, redshirt junior Jordan McClendon continued her dominance in the women's weight throw as she won her 5th weight throw meet title of the season. That's pretty crazy to believe. 5 titles on the season in that SEC competition. Next up, the Tigers travel to Texas for the SEC Indoor Track and Field Championships. Action there will begin on Friday and continue on to Saturday.
Women's tennis has had a strong start to the season. Sitting at 8-2, the Tigers traveled to Minnesota this past weekend to take on the Memphis Tigers and Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Against Memphis, Mizzou started off strong in doubles play as they have all season. The number 1 and number 2 doubles teams both took easy victories. Unfortunately for Mizzou, singles did not go as well as Memphis managed to mount a comeback and secure a 4-3 victory.
Coming off that tough loss to Memphis, Missouri took on Minnesota on Saturday. They got off to a rough start as they lost the doubles point for only the 2nd time all season. In singles, Mizzou almost mounted a comeback, but ended up falling just short as they lost a 2nd straight match by a score of 4-3. The tennis team begins SEC play this Friday as they take on the Bulldogs of Mississippi State at home.
They need that doubles play to continue looking good for them. Mizzou at one point had the number 58 doubles team in the nation. They've since fallen a little bit, but they definitely have some strong doubles play there, and that needs to continue in SEC play. Finally, we're moving on to swim and dive. Both the men's and women's swim and dive teams competed in the SEC championships this past weekend. Both teams came off of very strong seasons as the men's team went undefeated at 8-0, while the women went 7-2.
The men's team finished 5th out of 10 teams, while the women finished 8th out of 12. Their season is still not over, as they will both compete in the Mizzou qualifier starting this Saturday.
And that'll do it for us here. I'm Lucas Parrish, and for my partner Jack McGrath, thanks for tuning in to This Week in 23 Sports.